Hey everybody, it's Eric. It's time for my video on my trip to Japan, my day-to-day experiences. I'm going to be splitting this up into multiple videos. As far as exactly how many, I don't know yet. The plan is for 2 videos, but if I have enough footage available for more to make sure I don't go too long on each video, I will split it up even more. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first day, my travel day that is, going to Japan, started off a little bit rough. Didn't get much sleep before. Our dog at the time was having some issues. He was in the last year that we were going to have him. So he was having some physical issues, so I didn't get much sleep the night before. But all in all, everything was okay, and I headed out, got a flight up to New York City. The flight was to LaGuardia, and then I would fly out from JFK to head out to Japan. Now, I got into LaGuardia at about 11 o'clock or around noon, and my flight to Japan was not until 1 o'clock in the morning out of JFK. That being said, I did not want to leave at a last minute bus to go from LaGuardia to JFK just in case something happened and I didn't want to miss my plane, everything like that. So I got the earliest bus I could out of LaGuardia. So one of the things I did learn is that I did not know this before, because I never arrived at an airport so early before, is that when you arrive, you only have like a certain amount of time before your flight that you can check yourself in for your flight. So I went right up as soon as I got to JFK to check in for my flight, but they weren't ready to check me in yet. I had to wait until only like a couple hours before my flight was due to go out, and then they would be able to check me in. So I hung out there at the airport for a little bit, see if I can get any good views of the skyline from there. Wasn't really too much. I could see a silhouette of the city there and behind some other buildings. All in all, the airport was pretty cool. It had a rail system going between the different air sides that you traveled from. So if you wanted to get something to eat, maybe the one you're at didn't have the right place that you wanted to go to, you can go to one of the other ones. I ended up eating at the one that I had, but I did take the train around to go look at the other ones as well, since I had so much time to just hang around. Finally, it came time for me to go out to the gate where my plane was, and the security actually wasn't that bad. We got through pretty quick. It was a pretty long line. It was a little bit longer a little bit before I went in line, but this time I went, it was still pretty long, but it went through really fast, which was really nice. Then it was time for my flight. My flight was 14 hours. It was a red eye out of JFK, and it was 1 o'clock. I have never been on a flight this long. It was very nice though, because I had a good seat where I was at, and I was able to just relax in where I was at. The person that was next to me was really nice. So, you know, it was definitely something to help pass the time along. So then I got to Shanghai, and I didn't know what to expect when I got into the airport there. I didn't know how much security there would be, or what they would do between my flights. So we got off the plane there, went through the airport. They did have a security area where we had to give our fingerprints on the machine, and they also took our picture so they can, identify us at any future date. And that was, was not very intrusive or anything like that. It was fine. Just went through it. And then I went to their baggage security area, and this is where I learned a lesson. This is something for you guys. I didn't put it on my planning video, but I wanted to give it to you guys now, is that if you are taking any battery backup with you for your trip, please put it in your checked luggage. Do not take it in your carry-on, even though it's like a small item and you think you might need it or something like that. You really don't. The planes have USB ports, so if you need to charge your phone or something like that, you're not going to need the backup. So just put it in your checked-in luggage. Trust me, because I had it in my carry-on, and it went through, and whatever information was not on there that they were looking for, they ended up taking my battery backup. So I didn't have a battery backup for my whole trip. And that was a little bit of an inconvenience, but I learned my lesson, so I wanted to pass it on to you guys so you guys don't have to go through that. So I only had like a few hours that I was going to be at the Shanghai airport before my plane left for Osaka to go to Kansai Airport. And I knew going in that there was limited Wi-Fi available at the Shanghai airport. You actually had to go to a machine of some sort, put in some information, and it would give you a code to put in your phone and everything like that so you could get the Wi-Fi. Well, I went through all the steps after finally finding a machine that actually worked. I went through all the steps, put it on my phone, and nope, no Wi-Fi whatsoever. So it was a little disgrunting. I'll put on here, you'll see my face that I was making while I was on the trip there. And that was just, it was kind of boring for that part because I was there so late that there wasn't anything going on really in the airport. I was able to actually get breakfast. It was actually very early. I know I said late, but it was actually very early. I was actually able to get breakfast there at the airport. It was pretty good. So I had enough time to do that and then head out to my gate and get on my plane to go out to Osaka. Now that plane ride was very short, especially compared to the 14-hour flight I was just on. So short to the point of there was only about an hour, maybe even a little bit less of time where there was time for them the servers to get up and give us like drinks and stuff like that. And they actually gave us a full meal. And somehow they were able to get us their full meal so we could eat it in time so they can come back, get our meals and then throw them away and then get back to sit down again in time to come into Osaka. So that was very interesting that they were able to get all that in on such a short flight. So we flew into Kansai Airport, and if you didn't know, it's an airport built on a man-made island. It's very cool. You might be able to look and see some videos on YouTube and that with talking about the airport. You'll see how some parts are settling, and they actually have a system there where some pillars go down because of some settling in that island. But it's a very cool airport. I wasn't overwhelmed at all by how it looked and everything like that. I thought it was going to be some sort of real spectacular type of airport, but it was really nice. Don't get me wrong, it was really nice, but it wasn't quite as like awe-inspiring as I thought it would be, but it was very nice nonetheless. The main atrium area had like about 6 floors of different things that you can go to. Either like there's one level for like international flights, one level to go off to domestic flights, and one level which was like your stores and shops. So as I mentioned in the planning video, I did get my pocket Wi-Fi there at the airport. It was very easy to get. I got that. And then I headed out to go to the train station. The train station was very easy to go to. You just walked across the pedestrian bridge and all the offices are right there. So you're able to get, if you wanted to get a JR pass, if you got the JR pass for like the week or something like that, you could get it there. Or if you did like I did, where your weekly JR pass was going to be later on the week, you could get your local JR pass there and use that to go on the train to get you into the city. This was another pretty cool ride. You actually went across the bridge that's right by the airport. Now the airport is pretty far out from the city area, so you don't really see a lot of the skyline and that of Osaka from the airport. One of the things that I forgot to mention as well is at the airport, one of my first signs that I was officially in Japan was inside that terminal there was a Pokemon shop that was like in the middle of the floor. That was like my big sign that, hey, I'm in Japan now. So on the train, I took the train all the way out to where my hotel was, which was in the Dotonbori area. It was a capsule hotel, and it was right like a block down from the strip of Dotonbori. So it was a really nice location, and I was very happy with the hotel overall. The actual hotel itself started on about like the 2nd or 3rd floor, so you had to get into an elevator first and go up to where the check-in room was. So as I've mentioned before, when you get into the check-in area, one of the things they do is they give you your breakfast for the next day, which was really cool. It was just like a little pastry and a drink, and I think like one other thing that you got with it. So that was a really nice little touch that they gave for your stay there at the hotel. And then you went into a room with lockers in it, and you would actually have a key for that one of those lockers, and you would put your shoes in there, and you take the sandals out. The sandals is what you would use around the hotel while you were there. So now on this part, there was no elevator to go up to the floor where my room was, so I had to go up some flights of steps with my luggage little bit of a pain in the butt, but really not that bad at all. So when I got up there, there was another locker area where you would actually go in and there was like a robe for you and your grooming stuff that you would take with you into the bathroom. All that was in this other locker that you had. And then there was like a little side room where you could go into, like if you needed to call somebody or if you wanted to use your computer, you could go in this place. There was a little desk area. That was really cool. That was just someplace you can go so you weren't in the actual hallway where people were sleeping, and you could try to be a little bit nicer and make sure you're not waking everybody up. So I went into that hallway where my room was, and my room was like the very first on the left on the bottom, which was nice. I didn't have to go very far. It was right by the door. It was at the opposite end of the bathrooms, but still, it was really nice. Also, as I mentioned in the other video, the levels were by gender. So everything in my floor was all men on that floor, and another level was all the women, just because there was only one bathroom and they just wanted to avoid any kind of issues. So, which is very smart. And it was very nice bathrooms, multiple shower stalls, multiple toilets, multiple sink areas, just very, very nice. I got in, it was roughly around 5 o'clock now in the afternoon when I was there, and I was tired, but I really didn't want to go to sleep at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I wanted to at least go out and do something. One of the things I wanted to do was go to a building called the Umeda Sky Building in Osaka. And that was my way of going up to the top of the building. They have a place up there where you can see the city from above. And I just want to do that to take some pictures and say, hey, I'm officially here. My wife thought I was crazy to go out and do this because of the fact that I just flown 14 hours and got in. It's probably going to be severely jet lagged, which I was. But I just really wanted to go and do something while I was there because, like I said, I was officially there. I wanted to get out and do something. Now, as I was up there in the sky building, I did notice myself getting really, really tired. And even though it was only like about 7 or so, it was dark already, because in Japan, the way it's set up is on the earth is the time the sun comes up is a lot earlier and the sun goes down is a lot earlier than what it is here in the States. So the sun would go down, like in October, the sun would go down by like 4:30. Almost 5 o'clock, and the sun would be up by like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, just a little bit after that. So it was very much dark already at 7 o'clock, obviously, at that time. So after taking care of some other things I had to take care of while I was out just to make sure my trip was going to go good, I started to head back to my hotel. I got on one of the trains, and I was actually standing up on the train. I was holding one of the rings up on the train. And while I was on there, I started dozing off a little bit here and there. So I was extremely tired, and I was like, this is my sign to just go back, just fall asleep, and do that and get ready for tomorrow. So I got back to the hotel. I was ready to just pass out. Just went into my bed, plugged in everything, and I was like, let me see about just watching something or seeing something before I fall asleep. But no, I just passed out. Luckily, I had my alarm set for the next morning. So I got up at about like 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready for the next day, have my little breakfast that they gave me, and get ready to head out. For my first full day, day 2 of my trip, I was going out to Nara, which is just east of Osaka. And this was the place that was going to be one of my more, I guess you could say, spiritual type places to go to. So I got to the train, I think at like 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier than that. I ended up getting into Nara right around 7. As I got into Nara off the train, it was just a really nice little town. Walking down the street, you started seeing the deer on the street. That was really cool. They're just chilling out on the side of, like, between the sidewalk and the road, just chilling out there. And it was a very short walk up to Nara Park. Now, Nara Park is where the Tadaiji Temple is. It's a temple, the Buddhist temple with the largest indoor Buddha statue in it. It also has 2 flanking statues as well. with other deities, and this was very beautiful. And the building it's in at one point was the largest wooden structure, fully wooden structure in Japan at one point. All in all, this building was very beautiful. When I was coming up to it, it was a nice little pond like in front of the entrance. You went through the park to get there, and you would go past a lot of the deer and everything like that. And it was just incredible. It's like totally different type of culture than what I was used to. So as you come out and you walk down the main path, you come up to the temple gate. It's the main entrance area to the gate. And on the other side of that was an area where you had some more of the vendors, and the deer was just everywhere. You'll see it in the video behind my head up here. There's just deer all over the place. And they had these booths where you could pick up biscuits to feed the deer. And it was like 200 yen for a stack of these crackers. And then you would feed the deer. I ended up doing a Facebook Live video while I was there. And in that video, I wanted to feed the deer and see what it was like. I wanted to start off a little bit, like not with a big group. So I started off with one by itself, and I would fed them a couple biscuits. And then I saw another one I wanted to go to and start feeding. Now, as I'm walking up to that second one, the first one I was feeding is nudging me in my back, like just pushing me like, hey, give me some more. And and I was just like, hold on, I'm gonna share. And I got to the second one, I gave him one, and then the other one came around and started challenging the other one. And just right in front of me, not like 3 feet in front of my face, I backed up a little bit. These two are like hitting each other, like just ramming each other, fighting over the biscuits I had. So that was very interesting. So I got myself away from them because I saw a big, huge group that I wanted to go to and feed. And there's people like everywhere feeding these deer. One of the other cool things about these deer is, you'll see in some videos that people put out there, is they will actually bow to you to get a biscuit. That was just so cool. Just some of them will come up to me and take a little bow, say, hey, give me a biscuit. After that, it was time for me to head up to the hill, and there's a nice shrine up there, a very beautiful shrine, in fact. It's called the Kasuga Taisha Shrine. It's a Shinto shrine. And it was just like a nice little walk up to there, not very far. And just where it was at on the hill was just very beautiful. There was I could tell there was something going on there because there was a lot of people dressed up, going in and out. And what I found out eventually is that there was actually a Shinto wedding going on at the time. This was a very interesting thing to see. It's very, very beautiful. Definitely an experience to watch it. And the rest of the shrine was also very beautiful. All the many stone towers that represent different people there were very beautiful. And in fact, there was one point where there was a couple rows of these towers, and you could see down the road like an alley. And at the other end was a doe that was down there just feeding on the grass and had things in the grass. So then there was a little bit past the shrine where it's more of like a nature walk that you could do. There's little mini shrines here and there that you could stop at. So then it started getting to right around lunchtime, like around 11 or 12 o'clock, and I really wanted to get something to eat. So I started heading down, went a little bit different way this time. I ended up coming out the main entrance of the shrine. It was just a really nice walkway with all the Shinto shrine gates that were there. I ended up coming out to a place that I'd actually seen on a YouTuber's video that served like really good Kuroke, and I wanted to try this out. And basically what Kuroke is it's a deep fried potato. These things were just so good. Just the way they made them. There's like a little itty bitty pieces of meat in there, but it was mainly like potato and a little bit of onion in there, and it just so good. This is definitely a place that I definitely recommend to you. I don't really know the name of it, but I will put a link up to the place in the description below so that you can, if you plan on going, you can see where this is at. So the next place I wanted to stop in Nara, just to grab a little snack, was the famous mochi place that you might have seen on some documentary videos or some other videos online for your travel to Japan. And this place is where they have the mochi in this bowl, and you have a couple guys with like big hammers, and another guy that's slapping this really fast pace, and somehow through, I'm sure, tons of practice, is these guys are hitting, they're putting their hands in there, hitting this thing right before a hammer's coming down, hitting right in the same spot they're hitting, and never getting their hands hit by the hammer. So this was really cool to see. There's a lot of people there watching it. It really is a show to watch. And then you get to have the mochi they made like right away, and it's so nice and fresh. It was made minutes before you had it. So as it was starting to get a little bit later, eventually I wanted to make a little bit of a trip up to Kyoto for the evening. But before I went there, I did have another temple I wanted to stop at. I stopped at the Kofukuji Temple, which is another Buddhist temple in the Nara area. And this was another very beautiful location, a little bit more spread out than some of the other ones, but nonetheless, it was still beautiful. So they did have like the main temple and the pagoda nearby. These were, like I said, a little bit more spread out, but I went inside to the temple area, and just the inside was very beautiful, different deities inside. So overall, they give you a lot of places where you can take some really nice pictures. After that, after Kofukuji, it was time to get ready to head back and go to Kyoto for a few hours for the evening. Before I went, I did stop at the Kombini near the station, and this was the first time I saw this. They had an ice cream cone treat there, like in the frozen little bin, and on top of the cone area was another plastic thing over top of the cone. So I guess if you were taking it home with you and you wanted to eat some of the ice cream then, but you wanted to save it for later on or something, you could put the cap thing back on and put it back in the freezer or something like that. Not sure why it was there, but it was really cool nonetheless. So I got on the train to Kyoto. The train ride itself was about 45 minutes to go from Nara to Kyoto. It wasn't that bad. And this was going to be one of my shortest, in fact, it is my shortest time that I was going to spend in Kyoto. I would go back a couple more times, but this was going to be the shortest time I spent there. And I wanted to go to a couple places because there were more evening places. One of the places I did want to go to was I wanted to get my dinner while I was there, and that was Coco Curry. And this was something that their video was so convincing on how good it was that I definitely had to go, and I was not disappointed. This was like one of my favorite things I had. Of course, I got the rice with the curry sauce, and then I got the pork katsu on there, and it was just so good. So one of the other places I wanted to go to was the Yasaka Shrine. Now this shrine that they have there is really cool because it has a bunch of lanterns. This is like one of the only shrines where they actually light up the lanterns a little bit later. So around some of the buildings you would see all these lanterns lit up, and it was just very beautiful. That, as well as the archways, the entryways being lit up, just everything was just so beautiful about it. And while I was there also, I wanted to look for the areas that were known for the geishas. And I did find a nice little river area, nice back alley like pathway, which was very beautiful, little shops and stuff there. I didn't get to one point. One of the funny but kind of like annoying parts was I was at one bridge over a small river, and I wanted to take a picture. And as I'm taking the picture, some local person is running by, and I actually have a picture where all you see is a flash of this person just running by my picture. I'm like, really? You see I'm taking a picture? What the hell? So I did get a picture, of course, after that, but that was just a little annoying, but it was kind of funny just seeing this person like running through my photo at like full sprint. That was pretty much my day for the second day. I then headed back to Osaka to get ready for my next day. And if I could take anything from this first day, it was just soaking in the cultural differences and how everything was so different. Everybody was like so nice there. Everything was so beautiful. Everything was so clean. That was like my first takes. And overall, that would be my takes for a big part of the trip. It's just everything was so clean. Everything was nice. People were very nice. If I ever asked for anything, they were really nice and helpful. So this first day was just the beginning of seeing that. The temple itself, the Tadaiji Temple, just beautiful and awe-inspiring. They also had one thing I forgot to mention earlier. They have they have this spot where they have like a pole, like one of the support poles, and there's actually a hole dug out at the bottom of the pole. And it said that if you can go through that hole, you can make it through that hole, you would have a long life. And while I was there was somebody that made it through the hole, which was really cool to see. Of course, you had to be a pretty thin person to get through there, so there was no way I was gonna try to go through it because I knew my I was gonna get stuck. And of course, the other thing was the cocoa curry. That was just all the food. In fact, all the food was great. The Kuroke was really good. The mochi, of course, was famous. It was very good, but the cocoa curry just took everything. Oh, it was just so good. So I headed back to my hotel. Got one of the local trains again, only because where the Shinkansen was, if I took that back, it went to a station that was a little bit more away from where my hotel was. So I just took one of the local trains. So I didn't mention this before, but the hotel I stayed at in Osaka for this first part of the trip was called the Hostel Dotonbori. And like I said, it is a capsule hotel. It was very nice. I can't complain at all about it. So I got back, checked in again. It was a little bit different of a check-in. You just had to let them know you were back for the day, because when you left, you gave them your key. And when you got back, just had to let them know that, hey, you're back for the day. You didn't have to give like your ID or anything like that again. It was just letting them know like you're back, you need the key to get back in. And they would hand you your breakfast for the next day like they did before. You actually got to choose your breakfast. One thing I forgot to mention before, you had your choice of different things you could pick out. So you could pick for your breakfast. So the next day I'm going out, and aside from the pastry that I got, I also wanted to go have a more traditional breakfast than I had the day before. So this time I went to a local chain type restaurant. It's called Yoshinoya. And I was able to have a little more traditional breakfast. The only difference is that in the traditional breakfasts you'll tend to see they have fish within this breakfast. In place of the fish, I had ham and eggs in there. So along with the ham and eggs, I also had the rice and the soup, and they had like a cabbage corn type salad that you had with that. And they actually had little pieces of like strip steak or something like that in there, which was really good. So for this day, I was heading back up to Kyoto. Only this time, unlike the day before where I was on the east side of Kyoto, this time I was on the west side of Kyoto. And this is an area called Arashiyama. Now, you might know this from seeing videos about the famous bamboo garden that's over there. And that was one of the places I would be going. But when I first got there, the first place I was heading to, because it was the first along the path of me walking, was the monkey park that's in Arashiyama. Now, this monkey park is up on top of a hill in the area. So, of course, what are you going to have again when you go up to this place? Stairs. Like I said, the theme of the 2 weeks I was there was stairs. So you went up a little bit to like an area where you bought your tickets, and then you went into the gate, and then the first like quarter of this path going up to the hill was the steepest part of the whole part of the experience. So much so that when you got up to the first like rest area and they had benches there, you were just so worn out. You were like, you were hoping there was a spot on the bench available, because this is a tourist place and there were quite a bit of people there, and you were hoping that you were going to be able to get a seat. Thankfully I did, because I just needed a break for a second. I love walking and I don't mind climbing and stuff, but this was a pretty good trek. So when you got up there, there was a map there, and it would show you how far you've walked. You saw this, and after that little hike that you had, you would see how much further you had to go. And there was a lot of people there that were like, I am not going any further. I need to go back. And that's unfortunate, because the map on the board was not really to scale. So the rest of the walk up there wasn't that bad at all. It was, of course, more incline because you had to go up to the top of the hill, but it was more of a steady kind of climb up with actual like a pathway that was not a lot of stairs. It was just a gradual pathway up to the top. Now, after getting to the top, it was really cool seeing all the monkeys that were like really close to where you're at, going around people. There were like rangers, park rangers up there to make sure that people weren't feeding the monkeys and make sure the monkeys were behaving and not like attacking anybody. And just being that close and everything was so cool just to see all the monkeys and everything. But even more so was the view that I had up at the top of the hill. This view up there was just, it was so beautiful. Just looking down on Arashiyama area of Kyoto and just seeing all the town. And it was just beautiful. Just seeing the mountains that were in the area, seeing the river that was right there. This was like my first chance to really see a good view of from a high point in the area. While I was up there, there was like maybe one time where one of the monkeys got a little bit, rambunctious. But overall, it was really cool. There was actually one point where there was a mother and a baby monkey together, and the mother was grooming the baby monkey. It was so cute. I did spend some time up there. There was actually some nice benches up there. So I was able to go up and just sit, relax, and just enjoy the view of what was up there. So then I wanted to head over to the other side of the area. First was walking across the Kutsura River, and the bridge there is a pretty famous bridge. I can't remember the name of the bridge off the top of my head, but it was just a very, very nice walk across. The river was a real shallow type river, nice little running falls coming down. So yeah, the next stop, of course, you went across the river, the Kutsura River, and the bridge there was very beautiful. It was just the river itself was very calming. Nice little gentle waterfalls right there in the river. So it was a very calming experience. And then as you get to the other side, you would walk up to what's called Kamiyama Park. Now, one thing I will say about the park is, again, it's on a hill, so you guessed it, steps. So I took, in fact, I took a bunch of picture of steps. So even this early on, I was getting what the theme was going to be, and I took quite a bit of pictures of steps that were in the area. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to go up into this park area before I headed over to the bamboo garden was at one point in the park, you're at a higher point and you're overlooking the Kutsura River. And again, this is another one of those destination points that you want to go to just to see the natural beauty of Japan. And it did not let down. You could see the people enjoying the river down below in different ways. There was some kayakers down there. There was a boat down there. There's actually a train that goes along the river itself. So that was really cool to see while I was there. And then I headed through the rest of the park, and it was just a very nice, nothing like grandiose or anything like that. No huge like flower locations, no big picnic areas or anything like that. It was just a really nice laid out park. Then as you got to the other end of the park, you started seeing where the bamboo was, and the fences along the way of the bamboo were a little bit different than the other side. So you got to see at least the beginning of where you're going. And then I got to the bamboo garden, and it was just as awe-inspiring as I thought it would be. I wish I could have gotten a little bit better pictures with my phone, but in that aspect of my phone didn't catch a lot of the green that was on the bases of the trees. But these bamboo trees were just so beautiful. The only thing is it was a very touristy area, and I definitely was not alone in the area. So trying to get some really decent like pictures sometimes a little bit tough if you didn't want people in your pictures. You just wanted a nice like artistic type photo. It was a little bit tough to get. You had to have a little bit of imagination to try to get some pictures that were more natural of the more natural setting of the area. Now that being said, the garden was a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. I kind of got a hint of it watching a video that someone had posted where they're just walking through it. And I saw how quickly they had gotten through it. So it was a little bit smaller than I thought, but still beautiful nonetheless. Now right outside of the bamboo garden is another temple. I know I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but it's the Ryuji Temple. And this was more of a temple that was definitely on the more of the natural side temple. A beautiful garden in the area, nice little walkways around little ponds. And then, of course, on the outer edge, you did have the bamboo garden. The temple buildings were very beautiful. A little bit more of just open buildings, I guess, where they had meditations and stuff like that. I didn't see as many buildings with statues of the deities and that in there. But this gave me another opportunity for some beautiful photos to take. Like I said, a lot of like garden type settings, some water settings, just a very beautiful place. I mean, there was even a little sand garden right there that you could see, like a Zen garden area. Very, very. So it was getting close to the end of the day already. I know it seems like I didn't see very much. I didn't give you guys many places, but trust me, all the walking I did to the different areas, the time went by and it was plenty of walking and plenty of places to go to. I spent more time and stayed a little bit longer in each area. So that's why maybe this time it seemed like I didn't really. So after getting out of the temple area, you went right back into the local town. So there were some little shops there. I got to have kakigori finally, I've been wanting to have. And I had a Korean hot dog while I was there. And these shops were set up more for like the touristy type places. It wasn't really like set up for the locals. So the food quality was all right. The kakigori, actually like the kakigori at Epcot Center in Florida better than I like the kakigori that I had at this place. So it was very good, but I just think it was set up more for touristy than it was for the locals. So it wasn't quite as good as what I thought it could be. And I stopped in one of the little shops for like knickknacks and stuff like that. I wanted to get something there, but the prices there were pretty steep in that area. Now again, it's a touristy area. They're gonna price some things pretty high. The food, of course, was not very expensive. The food throughout Japan was pretty cheap. That was one of the least of my expenses throughout Japan. But the collectibles and stuff like that was a little bit pricey in the area, so I decided to hold off on it for right now. So then it was time to head back. Getting back to the station, of course, I had to go back across the bridge. Like I said, it's still very beautiful. It was a little bit later in the day, so it was a little bit different setting. This was very nice to walk past during this time of the day. By the time I got back, now this being the third day I was there, I was still a little bit tired, but I wasn't quite as drastically tired as I was a couple days before. So I took the chance just to walk through Dotonbori a little bit, because I didn't really take the chance to do that the first 2 days. So this time I took a little bit more of just a walk just to get the layout of where I was at. And I especially wanted to do this because the next day I was going to be heading out to Tokyo. So I at least wanted to get a little bit more of Dotonbori before I headed out, because when I came back to Osaka, it was going to be like 4 days later, and I was going to be staying in a different area. So I wouldn't be staying in the Dotonbori area, so I'd have to travel a little bit more if I wanted to go back there. So this being my last night at the capsule hotel, after checking in, getting my breakfast for the next day and that, I spent a little more time just relaxing, thinking about my first few days there, laying inside the capsule and just soaking it in, enjoying what I was doing, because I knew I was heading to Tokyo the next day and it was going to be a little bit more hectic, especially the first day that I was there, which I will get into in the next video. It was just soaking in more and more, especially that day, that where I was, everything I had just seen the first few days, and just enjoying the overall experience. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I was going to spread these videos out over multiple videos. At the time I started, I didn't know if I was going to do it over 2 videos or more videos than that. Now that I've recorded this and the time that I've been doing it, I'm looking at probably I'm going to be doing at least 3 videos for this. I'm going to end this video here because the next video is going to be mainly about my trip to Tokyo. I'm going to cover Tokyo and probably at least my first night in Fuji. If I feel like I can get a little bit more, maybe my second day in Lake Kawaguchiko in the Mount Fuji area. But I think with how hectic Tokyo was, I think the next video is going to primarily be just Tokyo and that first evening in Lake Kawaguchiko. But in any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. If you guys feel like you want anything more from me, maybe to share a little more details of it, if there's any advice you want to give me as far as my videos, because I am just starting off with these videos. This is my first series of videos. I'm open ears for anything at all, guys. Let me know what you want to hear. Like I said, subscribe to my channel, like the video, hit the notification bell so you know when my new videos are coming on. And like I said, give me comments. Let me know what's going on, how you feel about the videos. Like I said, any constructive criticism you want to give, hey, I'm here for it. So let me know, guys. I want to give you guys the best quality videos I can. It's going to take me a little time, obviously, to really get used to this format. I've never done anything like this before, and I'm really I just want to get better and better so I can help you guys enjoy these videos. But in any case, I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm hoping to get these out quick, at least this one and the next video. I'm hoping to get the second one out within 2 or 3 days of getting this one out, as I'm a little bit late in getting this one out. So I want to get it out to you a little quicker, and plus the fact that I'm spreading it out more as far as more videos, I want to get it out to you a little quicker. But keep an eye out, guys, and thanks again for watching.